Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream. I know I say this often, but today is a big one because we kicked off chapter 2.5, the rewrite of chapter 2 yesterday. And then obviously, there's a lot coming in chapter 2.5 still. So we're going to dive really deep into all of it. And then I feel like we should kick this off talking about the event that happened last night because I have major FOMO. So
Yeah, no, I wonder if anybody from Argentina is even awake and listening to this event today, or this AM today. No, it seemed like a super fun time. I'm super jealous. And honestly, that's a wake-up call. We need to do more IRL Pixel events because the community is so strong online, right? And I'm not gonna lie, we've been pretty hesitant to do IRL events. But I actually really see like the return on investment there. I feel like one, you guys are super loyal. You guys have been like really showing up every day inside of the game. So it's kind of like a reward to you guys for that sometimes. It's super fun. I think it's good for the brand. It seems like it went really, really well yesterday. So, I mean, on that note, yeah, Blind Nights Blockchain Week. We'll be at YGG Games Summit in the Philippines. That'll be crazy. That'll be super fun. But yeah, do you have any photos from the Argentina event? Because it looks
I just honestly was searching the hashtag Fiesta Pixels. So yeah, let's just share a few of them because so fun. Here we go. Hold on, I'm gonna have to like change. So this banner also was just absolutely incredible. I'm not sure exactly who made the graphic itself. I should ask the team, but I think it was someone from either Moku or the Kind community that made it. But it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, here. Here's another person hanging out with it. I want it. Like I feel like this should be one of our new banners, just we take to different events. This one is a recording of Luke and I sent videos of ourselves to be played. I honestly, this is the only post I've seen, or I saw one screenshot of myself also. Yeah, guys, I did mine in Spanish and it took me hours to practice. So I hope you understood me. Yeah, there was just like a bunch of really fun stuff. Han Tao is there. We've got, I don't know if it's the first time that Rohan and KG are meeting, but a couple iconic creators in the Ronin community. And then speaking of, actually, KG is doing a giveaway, and we threw in a doggo pet. So if you were at the event last night, make sure you go and enter this on his page. Enter to win some fun stuff there. And yeah, I don't know. I can just keep going. Like I literally, oh, did I do it? Yeah, okay. We're good. I pulled aside so many because there's so many. If you search this hashtag Fiesta Pixels, you can scroll through and see all the fun that was had. Look at these icons. Once again, some creators from the Ronin community all meeting up. Just amazing. I have so much FOMO. So much FOMO. Oh yeah, and then these drinks, like I want to try them. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it looked amazing. Luke and I are very jealous that we couldn't make it. But yeah, we definitely need to do more events for sure.
amazing. So yeah, we're gonna do more like that. Again, we'll be at Binance Blockchain Week in Dubai pretty soon in about 2 weeks. So if you're in Dubai, make sure that you stop by. We'll have a booth. We'll be there in person. Maybe we'll do something on the side too. We haven't talked about that yet, but I'm sold. Like the IRL stuff is super important for all this kind of stuff too. And again, we'll be at YGG Game Summit, which I know is going to be insane. I'm a little nervous, but I am so excited to go to the Philippines. I've always wanted to go there. I've spent like a lot of time in Southeast Asia, but never the Philippines. Looks like a beautiful country, and then we'll get to see all of your lovely faces as well. So for the rest of the AMA, what are we going to go over? We're going to give the normal updates that we do on metrics. We'll probably dive into some of that stuff later. We'll talk about yesterday's update. We'll talk about next week's update, and we'll go into the ecosystem, everything that's going on there. So yeah, when it comes to metrics, we have this North Star dashboard that we share pretty often, right? And I'll pull that up right now, actually. So here we are still doing pretty consistent revenue. I don't know if you saw a tweet, but Jiho posted a tweet about the revenue yesterday, and we did 1 million about in US dollars in the last 30 days. Now, what's interesting is this kind of goes into a lot of the stuff that we're talking about with like data science, segmentation, rewards targeting. Our DAU is down a little bit, but our revenue stayed constant over the last several months. What that basically means is we've been doing a better job of targeting bots and making sure that real players are inside of the game. If you start to see revenue dip, that's when I would get a little bit nervous about where Pixels is going, what it's doing. But we've seen pretty solid and steady revenue numbers despite some of the other things, right? So our core metric that we're looking at right now, when you think about how you define Pixel success, is ARPU. If you don't know anything about gaming or metrics, I talked about this a little bit in a long form tweet I wrote the other day, but essentially what we're trying to figure out is average revenue per user and how to make that increase. The reason why we're looking at this metric versus other metrics right now is because it kind of gives you a good sense of the type of user inside of the game, what they're doing inside of the game. And I think it's the best metric against bots, right? So say that we had 100 million users and we only made $1 million in revenue. How many of those 100 million users are going to be real users, right? If we can start to decrease some of those user numbers, that I think most of the space is starting to realize that like daily active addresses isn't the core metric here to worry about. If we can start to decrease some of the daily active addresses, make it a higher percentage of it real users, and keep revenue constant, that's kind of the end goal here right now. So revenue is still looking pretty solid. Some of these changes with the chapter 2.5 updates, we think will help increase it. And yeah, everything looks generally healthy right now. So for the rest of the agenda, what we're going to talk about is we're going to go over the update that we did yesterday, right? So yesterday, the update was smaller, but it was the first update of chapter 2.5. Now, chapter 2.5, when we talked about it originally, right? We told you guys it was going to be a series of updates. And I see some comments here. Talk about why you cannot deliver chapter 2.5 and instead rolled out 2.01. How dare you guys? We want transparency. Chapter 2.5 when? Chapter 2.5 when? Yeah, so chapter 2.5 always intended to be like a series of updates, right? So yesterday's update was the first update of chapter 2.5. It was a smaller one, right? We added new onboarding. We added a landowner on rug, and then we added mass killing of dead crops. So not a huge update, we know it. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to get the team into a pattern of shipping and releasing, right? So we haven't released anything big in a while. We know that, and we need to get the team back into the habit of it. So we had to force an update. I basically had to come to the team and say, hey, guys, October 15th, we got to get something out no matter what it is. We got to get back into the habit of shipping. We basically got like a practice run of getting some stuff out, as chaotic as it can be. And now next week's update is going to be significantly bigger. Next week's update is basically going to be the update that you guys have been waiting for when it comes to a lot of the economy changes that we've been wanting to make for a while and we've been talking about for a while. So next week, that's Task Board V2, that's Reputation V2, that's new energy and coin pricing. We can maybe talk and dig into what that's going to look like a little bit. And then there's going to be some more updates to roll out with that too. It's pretty exciting. This is a huge update. This is basically a lot of the stuff we've been working on for the last 2 months. We'll be starting to go live next week. We have a target ship date of the 22nd. Everything looks good. It's getting tested now. It's in our staging environments. We look pretty on target for this as well. Say I'd be very surprised if it didn't release. We probably could have released it this week even if we had wanted to, but we wanted to ship some other stuff first, get this stuff out. So this is kind of the stuff that we'll start to talk about a little bit. And I maybe want to spend some time answering questions in the AMA on what this looks like. But I want to give you kind of a high-level overview of what these changes are going to look like, how they might change how you guys play the game, and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, how the task board V2 is going to change is, one, we're adding a lot more items inside of the task board that didn't exist before inside of the task board, right? So a lot of you guys have always been complaining, why isn't this item in the task board? Why isn't this item in the task board? Basically, our default approach now is it should be in the task board if it's in the game, unless like a few different criteria. So for example, we probably don't want things in the task board that you can buy directly from the store. We mostly don't want like the limited items inside of a task board, but basically there's gonna be a lot more items in the task board that weren't there before. The other thing that we've done now too, and this goes into the coin inflation, the economy balancing, all of this is one of the main areas where you can start to change how coins are generated inside of the game. So right now, task board is the main source of coin inflation, kind of isn't, right? Like there has to be coin inflation in some areas. If we want people to go through the game, we have to give them coins. But the task board is where most of the coins are being generated, right? It's not the marketplace because basically those coins come from task board. And the focus here is we're changing the curve of how you get coins, essentially. So right now, the curve of getting coins is really weird. If you're a new player inside of the game, it feels impossible to get the coins that you need to. I saw a comment on that even earlier on Twitter today, where somebody was like, okay, these new onboarding quests make a lot more sense. These are a lot better, but it's really hard to get coins in the beginning of the game still. Like you get like 20 coins from the quest. You can't do anything with that, right? And yeah, that's kind of the point. So the task board is going to get a balance change where it's going to be actually a little bit easier to get some coins in the initial stages. And that whole curve of coin progression is changing a little bit. What that means is at the highest end, it might get brought down a little bit, but the intention behind this and how this is going to work in the ideal situation is that coin per pixel when you're going through the task board goes down. That's the ideal situation. Like that's what we're shooting for. So you might see is as you're playing the task board right now, how the task board works is it's linked to coin inflation and it's linked to resource inflation right now too. So right now, if you're playing pixels and you're really trying to earn pixel, you're trying to earn it through the task board, what you have to do is you have to get a bunch of coins. You have to go and buy some resources, and the task board outputs more coins, right? Now, as we start to attack coin inflation, the end goal and the end desired outcome is that coin per pixel that you guys show and share on Twitter all the time is actually supposed to come down, right? So the ideal situation is you don't have to roll the task board so much every single day, but everybody's rolling it less, right? So the less coins that come into the economy, the less tasks you're going to have to do. The meta that we don't actually love right now is that some people do like thousands of tasks a day, right? Or you might feel like you need to do thousands of tasks a day to stay competitive if you wanted to get those pixel. And if you're doing that meta, that's just going to increase more coins coming out into the economy every single day. And it's a circular loop, right? So we had to kind of change and fix that loop a little bit. And that's a lot of the chapter 2.5 focus. So some of this might feel harder at first, but the idea is it should feel harder for everybody and then make it so you have to do less tasks every single day, right? That's the ideal situation. So for Reputation V2, that's coming out as well. You guys got like a little preview of it last week. We're fully going live with it this week. There will be a few tweaks that we need to do, but it should be an interesting new system, right? So as you start to increase reputation, you're going to see some other things inside of the game, right? You're going to get taxed less. You're going to have more trust to use things like Marketplace. And the reputation system overall has gotten smarter than it was before, which is great. And we're going to keep improving and updating this as well too. Reputation is something that we're really excited about because it's going to be bigger than just this core Pixels game, right? For example, we have the Telegram game, which we'll dive into how that's going a little bit later. But that's something we'll probably start to use reputation in. We have some other stuff that we'll be releasing and announcing in the next month or so. And that will be using reputation. Basically, reputation is going to be your passport across the Pixels ecosystem. Anytime that we release something there, it should apply to other things that we do. It's a really good way to basically prove that you're a great player, that you are like very active and involved in the Pixels ecosystem. And it's actually something that eventually I want to get on chain too. I have a really strong feeling that this reputation system that we have built out will be found very valuable from other Web3 games, especially if we put it on chain. Basically, the ideal situation that I want to do here is I want to create a reputation system where other games see the value of a Pixels player, and then you guys get airdrops or things like that just for having reputation. I'm honestly surprised it doesn't happen more right now. And I think we need to make it easier because Pixels has probably the strongest, stickiest, and spendiest audience inside of Web3 right now. If you look at number of paying users, I think we're probably number one when it comes to Web3 games right now, which is awesome. And yeah, it should be something that other people take advantage of. We need to make it easier. Basically, whenever we think about Pixels ecosystem and all that stuff around there, how I'm thinking about it is I want to make it easier for people to help us and to help you guys too. And the less friction that we add, the more transparent systems that we have out here, the easier that we can make it. So Next part of next week's update will be new energy and coin pricing. Here's what to expect. We are going to change this quite a bit, and it's going to feel really different than before. Right now, the meta inside of the game is if you want to go and do the task board more, what you do is you swap Pixel to USDC, you go to a coin OTC person, you buy pix or you buy coins, and then you go do the task board more. That's kind of silly, right? There's good and bad to that. Like there is more demand for coins sometimes because of that. It also creates a weird cyclical loop where that increases coin inflation more. What we want to do is we're going to offer an alternative to all of you if you need more energy inside of the game or if you want more coins in order to do that. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to price coins and energy a lot more competitively inside of Pixel. So rather than going through a middleman, you just get it from us, right? Now, what that's going to come with is some changes. So you're not going to be able to trade some energy items in the same way anymore. And do you have more of like the details on how that works, Heidi, or like some of the like insights on that? So I think some energy items, this is a big change, are going to be made untradeable.
I think almost all of them will be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
kind of a
it just
huge.
yeah, it doesn't make sense that transparently bots kind of control that, and it sways in both ways. Sometimes they're too cheap, which really negatively impacts the game economy, or they're way too expensive, which also negatively impacts the game economy and player feel. So we're kind of almost taking back that control so we can make sure that it feels good for users.
Yeah, and with that, so the changes that will roll out later in chapter 2.5 is if we see that it's way too hard to get energy, we're going to start to reintroduce more ways to get energy through things like wineries and grills. Now, that's with the caveat. We're still like making the final call and no, not call on this. Is we're almost certainly removing the winery from Terra Villa, and we're going to make some changes to how grills and wineries work. We talked about making them single use, right? So what that does too, if we start to make grills and wineries single use, is we start to have control over the amount of energy getting created every single day through how many wineries or grills are in the economy, right? So for example, if a winery becomes single use and we know how many of them there are every single day, like we know that there's 50 wineries in the economy, we know exactly how much energy can maximally get created every single day, right? So then we can start to play with that a little bit and start to introduce some more if we wanted to. So for example, if we had really tight control over the amount of grills inside of the economy every single day, we have tight control over how much energy is getting created every single day. That way we can, kind of influence it and make sure that it's stabilized and not rampant through inflation, since energy also increases inflation. The more energy there is in the economy, the more coins there's going to be created. The more coins that are created, the more tasks that you're going to have to do every single day to get the same amount of pixel. That's what we're trying to ease back. So these changes at first, I think they're going to feel like nerfs, but the intention here is like this should make the gameplay better. And what it should do is it should make it so that you have to do less tasks to get the same amount of pixel. Now that might, I said that, you're going to quote me on that. I know that. This is what we're trying to do. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking there. Maybe this happens right away at the update next week and everything goes perfect and that's amazing. But we know that there's going to have to be tweaks basically. And I'm optimistic, but I'm also being realistic here. When we get these changes out, it's going to be a lot of responsiveness from the team and we're going to have to react really quickly. So this is what I'm trying to get the team back into. If you followed Pixels for a long time, you know this team has that dog in them. You know we can do that. And we have to prove to ourselves again and to all of you that when we get an update out like this, that's going to change the meta so quickly that we're able to be responsive and that we're able to change things quickly. So next week will kind of be the test where we want to gain back your trust with that area. And this is where you can keep us accountable, right? So if we're not responsive, if you don't feel like we're listening, this next AMA is going to be tough on us, right? But we'll, that's the deal that we're making with you, right? So we have to start shipping again. We have to start getting stuff out. We have to start taking risks and we have to be quick, responsive, and able to fix stuff too. So we're basically on standby. We're ready to go. It's going to be tough. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chaotic. And as soon as we get through these stages of chapter 2.5, we can get into the fun stuff, which is new features, new stuff, all of that. So yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, I've been told to shout out the Cozy Cat Nook UGC so that Cholo has to give away free ones. So there you go. All right. Do you have more that you wanted to share on what's coming in chapter 2.5, or should we? Oh, of course.
Yeah, let's maybe
Half
just
track.
go through like the rest of the ecosystem stuff really quickly, and then we can answer some questions because I know there's gonna be a lot. So, we're still making pretty strong moves on the ecosystem side of things. Again, you saw it for the first time with Pixels Tap Track, right? That's the second game that we released, which is awesome. It's kind of a big deal. We didn't want to hype it up too much because there's still some work that we need to do there. But the initial response has been positive, right? So basically, we told you guys, was this last week or the week before, that it exists?
I can't keep track of time. It feels like it was a month ago.
That's
it
crazy.
was not.
But yeah, we told you guys it exists basically, and we didn't run any ads. We didn't do anything else besides that. There's no rewards there, and the initial reception is pretty positive, but there's still some work to go there too. So basically, if you want to get into the weeds of it, what we're looking at is we're looking at like 3 or 4 things right now to see the success of this. We're looking at some of the traditional Web2 gaming metrics. We're looking at day 1 and day 7 retention. So that will give us a good proxy of, okay, if we get these users, how many are going to stay and how much of a user base can we build? Right now, it's in an okay spot. If we fine tune some things, we think we can get it into a better spot. And this is the kind of stuff that we're looking at before we start to push it more. We're going to start to run a small batch of ads. And this would actually be the first time that Pixels has ever done paid marketing. It kind of sucks because now we're not going to say that we've never done any paid marketing. But
for the first 3 years, we did.
Yeah, but there's some merit here. So the reason why Telegram is interesting and why we even want to do anything here is because, one, it starts to introduce the idea of the Pixels ecosystem, the fact that there's more than just a Score Pixels game here. 2, it is a really interesting new distribution channel. What we want to see is if we start to acquire users here for pretty cheap, you can acquire users for about like a penny, which is nuts. It's so crazy cheap compared to Web2 UA. Normally it's like 100 times more. Will any of them come into the Pixels game? That's the next stuff that we're going to start to figure out. And then there's some cool stuff that'll be coming here too when it comes to the ecosystem as well. So we've been working on this thing called Login with Pixels. That's going to work in the Telegram game basically when that's done. I think the dev side of that is basically done now. So we're going to start to roll that out into the Telegram game before we go really live and hard with the rewards. And then the other interesting thing too is when we have Login with Pixels done is this actually might even be available to like our developer ecosystem if they want to use this. And that's kind of the direction that we're heading into. So we'll chat with our dev community soon as this is ready. And you might have like a more official way to connect some of your Pixel stats or like some of your login with Pixels now. And there might be some interesting like reward share there too. The other thing that we've been working on is like a lot of machine learning and segmentation with bot detection and prevention. And we've been working on basically reward targeting. We made some really, really cool steps in that in the last week. We've onboarded a data science team, and the findings that they have are awesome. We're starting to implement some of that over the next couple of weeks now too. And this is kind of what I like to think about as some of the moat of Pixels. So when you think about where we stand as Pixels, we're pretty unique in the fact that we have a large user base, a ton of historical data. We have like spend data too, and we have spenders inside of the game, which not many other Web3 games have. And what we have a big head start on too is taking insights from this data in order to build out some of the crucial tech of play to earn gaming. If you asked me what our like top mission statement at Pixels is that it's to make play to earn gaming work. Like we want to solve play to earn gaming. So there's 2 parts of this. There's making the game as fun as possible. And that's probably the first step and the most important part. I don't want to understate that. I know I get like really nerdy about the other side of things when we talk about play to earn, like the future of Pixels a lot of the times, but like the core focus is making fun games and bringing more games into the ecosystem that are fun. The second focus is all this stuff around play to earn tech that I talk about a lot. It's bot prevention and detection. It's reward targeting. It's creating viral loops, incentive structures that help your users help you grow, enabling dev community, all of this kind of stuff. And this is some of the stuff that we're trying to also bring in to other games and other partners coming into our ecosystem. So yeah, we'll announce some more stuff on that soon. But yeah, we've been talking a lot about publishing acquisition and bringing in other developers to start to use this tech that we built to help them grow too. The idea behind this is we just want more pixel utility, and we want more people using the pixel token inside of their games. And we have some tech that can help them grow. So some cool stuff there. But yeah, I think the focus today is going to be a lot on chapter 2.5. So we can dig back into that. If you have any thoughts or questions on the ecosystem, I love nerding out about that. But again, our core focus at Pixels is making the game better. Chapter 2.5 is a really important step towards that, because we can fix some of the economy issues, and then we can get on to creating new and fun features. I think everybody in the team, everybody in the community is so ready to get past this stage of game balance changes. It's not fun for anybody, to be completely honest, to go through game balance changes, but it's the necessary thing that we have to do to move on to the next stages. And yeah, we'll get through this. It's pretty close to like getting through all of this.
Okay, so you want to dive into questions now?
Yeah, let's dig into it.
Okay.
Here, have you been starring some stuff?
A little bit. I feel like most people today it's more like comments than questions. So if you guys have specific questions, throw them in the YouTube live chat or the Twitter live chat, and we can pull them up. One thing, just in the meantime, there's a couple things that we can talk about. So vote for Pixels. We have been nominated, I think, in several categories in the Game Awards. So yeah, I mean, I pinned it in our YouTube live chat, so the link is there. You can click on it, and yeah, go vote for all of your favorite games. There's tons of great stuff on there. Favorite content creator, and then Game of the Year. We are up for Game of the Year also, so we would greatly appreciate your vote. And then a couple other things. A big fan of cheese, and I am like half Dutch, so I agree with this point, absolutely. And then you're in Dubai. So we do have a few extra tickets to Binance Blockchain Week. So if you are a Pixels community member and you did want to come in Dubai, maybe DM our official Pixels account, and we'll see if we have any extra tickets that we can give some Pixels players. And then, yeah, shout out to this user. You are up and alive. Love it. Love to see it. The event did look quite rowdy, so I love that. Okay, let's dive into some questions. This was a good question here. Where do your revenues come from? Are they revenues in Pixel? If yes, does it mean you regularly sell Pixel to pay employees, etc.? Thank you.
Yeah, so this is a great question, actually. So when we talk about revenue, the Pixel Foundation's main focus is to grow Web3 gaming and to see play to earn work, right? And when we talk about revenue for the foundation, we frame it in Pixel because that's the important thing right now. What I'll say is like the Pixel's core team here that's helping develop the Pixel's game for the Pixel Foundation is a really lean team. We're only 25 employees. Our burn is not high. It can basically just live off venture capital raised for now. And yeah, the capital needs are not very intense, right? So like transparently, yeah, the team has enough runway where it doesn't really need to be drawing, or it's not very capital intensive, right? If you were to compare revenue made in the framing of the Pixel token versus like what the like core Pixels team spends on developing out the game and helping the foundation like do this, it's quite small, is what I'll say. So yeah, basically the foundation can focus all of its efforts on increasing revenue in the Pixel token, and that's really the main goal. And yeah, the team had raised venture capital, so do remember that, right? But yeah, all revenue is denominated in Pixel token, and the team's focus is basically getting to a point of helping the foundation reach net ecosystem spend. So what we want is we want more pixel getting spent inside of the ecosystem every single month than we give out. And the pixels given out is going to be like the thing that you want to be looking at most, right? That's probably when you think about emissions, like the big piece of the equation. And that's the part that we're trying to basically decrease. So that's where a lot of the ad tech that we think about is getting built at, and all the segmentation, data science, all of this. Like to me, there's two sides of the equation. There's revenue, and then there's customer acquisition cost, CAC. And I view CAC really differently than the Web2 game does. How I like to think about customer acquisition costs is I think about it in terms of tokens. I like to think that for our play to earn rewards, if you were to look at the Pixel Foundation's tokenomics and where its tokens are going, you'll see that right now there's 3 different emissions coming out every single month. There's a little piece of advisory, there's like ecosystem incentives, and then there's treasury. And the ecosystem incentives are like the main part of those unlocks. So like if you ever see an article like Pixels has huge unlock, it's mostly the play to earn rewards that are going into circulation. And those play to earn rewards are mostly getting eaten up by spend, but there's still a lot of work to do there. And what we're trying to figure out is, can we start to decrease the amount of rewards that we need to give to users? Or like, what's that number? This is maybe not the thing that you guys want to hear. But when I say decrease the amount of rewards that we give to users, basically half of that equation, or probably 80% of the equation in the short run, is not giving rewards to bots, right? Because that's going to be increasing the amount of rewards that you need to give out every single day to retain real users that actually might spend the token. How I like to view, play to earn is marketing. Play to earn is your budget to give out to users to like get them hooked inside of the game, right? A lot of you wouldn't have played Pixels originally if it hadn't had a play to earn mechanic. It's amazing marketing, right? Some of you probably still would have, which is great. Like some of you just like hanging out, making decorations and doing all of that too. But then some of you are here to like participate in the earn mechanics. Some of you started participating in earn and then you realized, oh, I like the game and I'm spending more and I didn't even realize it. You're a little salty about it, but you like it, right? But what we're trying to figure out now is basically how to identify bots and how to identify real users and who to give tokens to. So half the tech that we're building out is basically to decrease that customer acquisition cost or make it more efficient. So basically when we start to give out these tokens, we want it to reach more real people and reach more people who are more likely to use and spend the token to increase revenue, right? So that's the other half. And then the revenue half is, we have to make the game good. We have to make gameplay and game systems that people would want to participate in without the earn motivation too, right? So we need to start to have a user base of people who earn, who don't earn and just play, and who spend. And we started doing some analysis on that in our like data science stuff, and it actually looks really healthy. So we have about like 3 to 5% net spenders right now from the initial data that I looked at, which lines up with free to play. That's actually an amazing number. We have like 20 to 30% that don't really spend, but also don't really like earn anything. And then we have about like 40% that earn, and which I think actually, if you were to look at Web2 like demographics, and don't 100% quote me on those numbers, those are kind of rough estimates of the percentages. That actually kind of lines up with how you might see a Web2 game's business economics line up, right? So a Web2 game, they spend a ton of money advertising to users who will never pay anything inside of your game, and that's fine. They spend money advertising, they get a user base, and then about like 3 to 5% of their users end up monetizing. A lot of times in Web2 games, it might only be 1 to 2% even. So yeah, that's how we view it. Basically, it's like this complicated web of business economics. But yeah, the foundation's focus is increasing revenue in the Pixel token. The team's burn is quite low, and we're doing a lot of optimization to make sure that we're giving out tokens efficiently. And we want to make sure that the game is fun enough to actually have people be using tokens. That was a long-winded answer, but I think it's kind of important to go through that. And I think it's interesting. I nerd out on this.
Okay, let's quickly talk about reputation. So there's a few things I want to address here. So first of all, this one, and then Barney's Quest reputation still not added. Okay, so between these two, let's talk. So first of all, Barney's reputation. So the reason it's taken so long is that it is slated to go out with the new reputation system. So technically last week when we launched it, it was included in the complex algorithm that would look at participation amongst live ops events, right? So that was a perfect example of a live ops event that you participated in, therefore would be rewarded with reputation points for. It did take too long to get out, and now it's been rolled back, so it's taking even longer. So I do apologize for the delay on that one. But then moving into this question here. So, as an OG, will I gain reputation for completing these new tutorial quests? So, I would say my short, very short answer would be yes, but it's very complex. This new system is not as simple as the one that we had previously, where it was like, do quest, get 50 points, do quest, get 100 points. This one is looking at so many different things. So, this would go into quest completion / are you playing the game, are you active in the game, are you doing these sorts of things. But there's also the live ops events one, right? So going back to Barney's Bazaar or the guild wars, or even Luke's birthday, like there's tons of live ops events that are also being looked at. Also, do you have an integrated avatar? Do you own a land? Do you have a pet? Right? There's so many different things that we're looking at, and it's not as straightforward as do thing, get points when the new system is launched. So that's kind of my answer to all of these reputation questions that we have been getting. So I would say, yeah, you may as well do them because it shows that you're actively participating in gameplay, and therefore will probably reward you a small amount of reputation.
Yeah, that's funny. They're talking about me, but this one starting to sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Too long story. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I nerd out on like some of the tokenomics business aspect of it. Not everybody. It's actually great that you guys just care about the game and wine and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll answer those questions. You guys are asking the right questions. So let's talk about wine and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, there's still like a few things we're figuring out here, right? But if you have wine in your storage, all that kind of stuff still works how you expect it to. You drink it, you get energy, right? What we're changing is we're making a lot of the energy items non-tradable now. So you kind of have to work for them yourself. And yeah, I know some people say that they have high wine making now. And they're worried about that skill being nerfed too bad or making it so that it doesn't matter. That's not how we're trying to view it, basically. Like, we just want to kind of change up the energy economy where we want to make it so that bots can't sell energy to people, and we want to kind of take that away from them. But we still like the idea of basically having players have ways to get energy through like rare industries or things like this too. So yeah, we're not taking away wineries from the game. They're going to be in there, right? But we're going to change how they work a little bit, and we're going to change how you make energy now too. So it will change the way that you play the game a little bit, right? That is kind of the intention in some ways. But also, yeah, give us some feedback on how this goes, because we're going to roll out some of the energy changes over like a couple of updates. That way we can get some feedback from you guys on how it feels, and we don't make all of these harsh changes right at once.
Okay. Are you guys going to make Waterman and Astrocactus more frequent on task board to drive more demand? So I'm not going to say directly yes to this. What I'm going to say is the task board is changing. Hopefully you see fewer bricks. And I'm trying to remember what you already said about this, Luke.
Yeah, most items come into the game. Yeah, that's one part of the economy that we're gonna have to figure out. So we have Waterman and Astrocactus on the task board. They will be on the task board now. What we're gonna experiment a little bit was like different item weights, right? Because different things will in practice work a little bit differently. But the thing that will be different about task board V2 that makes a lot more sense is as you go up tiers, the amount of rewards will make a lot more sense. So right now, the pixel granted or like coins granted in tier 1 versus tier 4 doesn't even always make sense. Like sometimes people make more coins or energy or pixel staying in the tier 1 or tier 2, which is messed up. That just should not be how it works. So that curve has been smoothed a little bit. So the tiers will be respected a lot more, essentially. Astrocactus and watermint work a little bit differently than other crops too, right? So that might have to be like a little bit of play that we experiment with. If we make them in demand as much as a normal tier 3 or tier 4 crop, there might be some interesting game meta around there too. Maybe give us some feedback on what you would want to see here and what you think is interesting. I know if you're a space landowner, you're like, yeah, make Astrocactus the most frequent crop. But probably a middle ground that actually makes sense, right? Here's a good question. Can you guys pinpoint the main focus of chapter 2? Is it on task board or coin inflation or reputation or energy rework? It's all this kind of stuff. Like that's what chapter 2.5 made it, like that's why it made it so complicated, because all these things work together. And all of these are core systems that, like, if you touch one, it touches the other, right? Like if you change reputation and you made it so that it was impossible to trade, yeah, that would probably cut back on coin inflation a lot, but then nobody would be able to play it, right, in the way that is fun. If you just changed task board, but you didn't change anything else, then it probably wouldn't fix the energy issue of people farming for bots. And then you would have to like keep doing more tasks to like get the same amount of pixel, even if we fixed it, right? So all these things had to go together in order to actually make the system work. And yeah, I would say a lot of chapter 2.5, if I have to say it's focused on one thing, it's economy balancing. So that's the intention behind it.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to Astrocactus and watermint. So why would you put it on the task board? Because you can't buy the seeds, and the only people that want it there are people that hold them. So when we're talking about the task board, like this, Astrocactus and watermint are not the only new things or existing things, but will be added tasks on the task board. Like I think there's like, what was it, like 1,500 different things or something going on the task board.
I think these seeds are like a pretty interesting example of chase content that we can add. Like we're about to introduce gotcha mechanics, and I really like the idea of those seeds going in like a gotcha or like a live ops event, this kind of stuff. So they might be hard to get at first. We can start to introduce this stuff later, right? So that's kind of the philosophy that we're doing too early on. It's like, if we start it not crazy inflated and crazy accessible, then we can make it more interesting to go get them when we start to offer them for different things, right? So we get a bit more control. And when we say control, like the idea here is we just want more things that are more fun to go out and earn. And if everything is available all the time right away, there's not really as much interesting gameplay that we can introduce around that, right? The scarcity, the like chase is a lot of the fun of this kind of game. And if everything is always available all the time, it's not as fun.
Exactly. Cool. Okay. Okay, windmill available on spec. No, so that is an NFT land trait, like the actual NFT trait. So no.
You fixed the brick task, which is a slot machine. So yeah, the whole task board's changing. If you guys see a lot of brick tasks now, that probably won't be the case in chapter 2.5 in this update next week. You're going to see more diversity in the task board.
So how our system works is that we can like pin questions, then we can like come back to them later. And Luke has pinned a bunch of ones saying that he was taking too long.
Yeah, I brought them up.
I don't know why they're pinned here.
Well, I wanted to bring them up because I thought it was funny when I saw them.
Maybe if you start ranting again, I'll just put this up. Okay. Anyways, let's keep going here.
Will animal care show up in the task board too?
It's a good question. Maybe pet treats or something like that. Because I think, or no, wait, those are.
You're talking like slugs and all of that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll have to double check with the team.
I'm pretty sure yes, but if not, then they're going to come on soon. I think they were like, if they don't come on, the new benefit of this new task board, it's really easy for us to add stuff in again. It's just a switch on or off for most of these items, and I think they're all in the like spreadsheets they need to be. And I think the intention is, yeah, we want the stuff on the task board. Ooh, this is good. Have you thought about improving the gaming experience to those with high levels? For example, foresting if you could use less chops depending on player level by establishing a fixed amount of energy. So we think about this all the time. This is actually where the game might be weakest right now, is what I'll say. There's a lot of weaknesses, but yeah, this is an interesting one too. So we think about end game content a lot. And that's going to be the focus of chapter 3. We might even get some more end game content out in chapter 2.5. Also, we're working on a new feature called merchant ships, which should add some like more things to do towards the end of game. It'll basically be like much larger tasks to go and do. It's going to be some fun art, different framing, all of that. But in the long run, we need even more compelling game mechanics and just, you know, what's in the game right now, whether it be something like combat or dungeons or, you know, some element of competition. That's what we're focused on for chapter 3. And that makes our lives so much easier when there's more stuff to do too. Now, there's other ways that we can shortcut more content for Pixels. And this is why I keep talking about ecosystem and publishing and acquisitions. You're going to see some more experiences inside of the Pixels ecosystem soon that are some of the things you've even been asking for. And we're going to partner with other teams to do that, basically. So there's going to be some fun stuff and surprises coming before end of year. And we're still looking for opportunities like that too. I will say, I mean, this is actually maybe a good ask to the community. If you guys see any like, you know, cool games in Web3, what we look for on the publishing and acquisition side is we're looking for games who are, you know, fun, good, small teams, scrappy, and who are like kind of struggling with the marketing and user acquisition side. There is like this niche of like game developers out there, like this good amount of game developer out there that is like very passionate about the game. They have like an amazing product, like a work of art and love, but they don't really know how to grow it. They don't really know how to get in front of users. That's actually an amazing opportunity for us. And we're looking at stuff that's in Web 2 and Web 3. And I saw somebody make some comments on Telegram earlier. Some people don't like Telegram. Some people think the Tap Track game is like for a 7-year-old, not something they want to play for Pixels. What I'll say is like the stuff that we're looking for too is supposed to be like for diverse audiences. Like for example, like one of the things that'll be coming out is in web. So it's gonna be really easy for you guys who are playing Pixels to hop in. I think it's gonna really align with how like the core Pixels player. You know, we're also working on something on iOS and Android too. There's some stuff like that coming. But yeah, if you guys see any teams that are like doing some cool stuff, hit us up about them because we might want to make a deal with them. Are you suggesting that all of our additional industries will become obsolete after the update due to new industry limits? So new industry limits is not going in this next week update. That will probably be coming in the update after or the one after that. But yeah, we are going to start to introduce industry limits. Now, what we don't want to do with industry limits is make them feel too punitive or make them feel really bad, right? So we have to do this in a smart way. What we'll probably do is we'll probably actually start to do things like reward you for having more balanced industries. I think that's a lot of the thought process on the team right now. So, you know, if you have a land that's filled with 100 mines, maybe it's actually better if you get boost for having like only 10 mines and then like a bunch of trees and then a bunch of benches and have like a more diverse industry. There's ways basically that we can start to limit without making it feel as much like a limit and making them obsolete. The other interesting thing too, and I'm almost positive this is like confirmed, is that some of these kits will go into the task board. So if you have a mine, you might get a task board task that has you have like a mine that needs to get submitted to. One of the things was in the early meta of chapter 2, a lot of people were making like a lot of mines to level up, right? So there's some mines that we want to kind of reduce the stock of. And the task board is a great way for us to basically buy back in excess of items. So you're going to start to see tasks with kits in them too.
Okay. Like, I think this is the same users commented about Jumbaros a few times. How many do you have? I'm genuinely curious. Just curious.
Yeah, they really want to know.
Yeah, like Did you just like go because they're not even tradable, right? So like, how many do you have? I'm just curious.
There's a lot. Is this the same user under different
No,
names?
actually, maybe it's not the same user. Oh man, I assume June bars will. I don't know, probably, but like it's gonna be one out of like 1,500 and probably not weighted heavily, so it's probably extremely rare.
It would be nice to bring back Guild Wars maybe once a month. I really enjoyed playing. So Guild Wars will come back. We're working on like a V2 of it. And V2 will actually be longer running, but much less per day. So the issue with Guild Wars, I think Guild Wars was really successful, but the fact that it ran 24/7 when the event was going on was pretty stressful and a little unnecessary. So if we run it again, I think we're going to do something like it's open for 2 hours a day, or like every 8 hours for an hour, something like that, so you don't have to stay up all night playing. I don't like that much. I want you guys to be healthy and happy. I want you guys to be able to go to an event in Argentina rather than like have to play Guild Wars
Let's just
24/7,
all
right?
go fly everyone to
Yeah.
Argentina and have an event. Did you cut your hair?
No. Oh, yeah, the ball's still going. Let's give a little hype. What do we have for the future utility of pets? What I'll say is we're working on a pets app. That's kind of alpha and a leak, and that'll be fun. I don't want to talk about it any more than that, though.
That's a huge like. Okay, hold on. Okay, no, sorry. That's more important. I was just gonna rant. So go on.
Yeah. So when rebalance recipes, I'm loving the level 75 farming. Ain't that too much produced relative to the recipes and wines of food? Yeah. So we are rebalancing recipes too. That will likely roll out in the next update. There's like an order of operations, right? Like we could have waited to release this next update, and this next update again is task board, reputation, new energy, and coin pricing with some of this other stuff. We thought it was more important to get this stuff out quicker rather than hold it back. So basically, the new recipes are going to go after that. You're going to see some like old recipes come back, like we were bringing back crafting powder with this next week's update. But yeah, the new recipes will be different moving forward too. And then there's going to be a lot of XP rebalancing coming too. So the XP is very unbalanced right now. Like if you notice that the meta is like making some kits and doing some other stuff, it just doesn't really make sense. We're going to do like a recipe and item XP rebalance as well. Are we removing the mill from Terravilla too? Otherwise, it's not actually unrugging landowners. Yeah, let's talk about that. I think we talked about this with wine too and some other stuff. I think we need something in Terravilla, but it should be like a beginner or tutorial one, and it shouldn't be the one that players use in the long run. Also, I hate the Terravilla winery. I've been talking to our people about this a lot. It's the easiest thing to bot. We need to get rid of that. So yeah, we might need a special one in Terravilla. I'll bring this back to the team and we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I've been talking to the devs about it because this is how it used to be, or it was like a dumbed down version, right? It just didn't have bulk crafting on it. It's a little bit more nuanced than just removing it, is what I've been learning. But we haven't been in active discussion about it.
Yeah, we'll bring this back up tomorrow because we talked about this a little bit today internally. And yeah, I am of the opinion that we need to get rid of these things in Terravilla, or they need to be very different versions. There's some complexity there, but yeah, I'm gonna push for that. I'll advocate for it.
When Pixels merch. Okay, first of all, if you went to the Argentina event last night and did not get your hands on merch, I am so sorry. UPS literally lost one of our boxes. So go FUD UPS because I'm very angry with them. But merch is very, very hard, is what we've learned in the past to ship internationally. So I think our best way of distribution is to distribute at events. So there will be merch coming to us in Dubai, which I've also learned is incredibly expensive to ship to, but we will be doing it. And of course, we've ordered 2,000 shirts for YGG Summit. So hopefully a lot of you guys can get your hands on some merch there. I basically, when I say t-shirts, you guys have probably seen a lot of pictures of them. Just that white shirt with like the really big fun graphic on the back, and it says Pixels on the front.
Okay, another good question. So suggestion, make industries have maintenance too, like in real life. Yes, that actually is coming. There's going to be in chapter 2.5 also. I'm not sure if it's going to come in the next update or the following update. Next day May, we'll go into the timelines of what's coming when. Likely after this update, we're going to do 2-week releases. So every 2 weeks, something new comes out. And like hopefully an update relatively like this. The rest of the stuff we want to get out in chapter 2.5, it's industry limits, it's industry maintenance, it's tools, breaking down, it's gotcha mechanics, what else? Merchant ships, and trying to think if there's anything else there. There's more stuff too. But yeah,
Probably.
those are the main ones that we're working on. But yeah, these industry maintenance things will be coming. And that'll introduce some more like deflationary mechanics also, which is great. It's I keep saying I forget the meta or like the buzzword here is deflationary. I haven't said that word at all. No, we're trying to make coins more deflationary. We're not trying to kill inflation. They're trying to be deflationary. Industries are going to be deflationary moving forward. That's where we're moving like a lot of the core game economy towards.
Okay. And sorry to make you wait on this one, but I can't tell you exactly what is coming quite yet, as it's still in development and things could change. But so far, what we have slated is actually 2 different events coming, and then we're going to end off the month with a Halloween party hosted by YGG, which would be really, really fun. And then another thing I thought might be more like a heads up is that Luke and I are going to be traveling to a lot of different events over the next month, and we're going to be in a lot of different time zones. So I feel like we might move some of the AMAs to be slightly different time zone friendly. We'll see. It might be a great opportunity. We're also talking about maybe trying to do one like live. I don't know if we can pull it off. I really don't. But maybe at the YGG event, we could do like a live AMA. That would be pretty cool. I'd have to ask their team if we can somehow do that, because we have not planned it at all. It might just be me and Luke sitting in a room.
Yeah, that's probably how
it might be live. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. And then yeah, here's one too. So please make power-up items purchasable with pixels, like magnets that gather mats in a large radius. Yeah. Oh, so that was the other thing in chapter 2.5 that we're gonna get out to. I think that's coded now, which is great. Yeah, the idea is like percent boost, like upgrades, things like that. That'll be a fun thing to do.
Okay, wait. You pinned this one probably for a different reason, but I wanted to just say, if you have multiple lands with the new reputation system, let me tell you, you are set because you get rep per land that you own.
Yeah. Also, let's talk about that more. I'm curious on why you say that. But yeah, there are some considerations that we're gonna have to do there too. Like the industry, I think why they're saying that is because they are worried that industry maintenance is going to make it really, really hard to like keep all of your lands up to date. That is probably something that we should think about to make that easier. Maybe we make it easier to manage from like the guild level, all of that. But yeah, we'll dig into that. And then another question related, weren't we gonna have a rework of the missing industries, or is that no longer in the plans? That is in the plans. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that more industries are gonna make the game way more fun, and they're like relatively easy when we have more of the economy deflationary. And we had to do these changes first before we could do new content, because it didn't make sense to add new content, have all of the resources from that new content super inflated, and then like do these changes, right? We can start fresh once we have some of this inflation under control, and then it'll be way easier, and like the content will be way more compelling and engagement. So yeah, we'll basically go back and like rework some of the missing industries. When we say missing industries, it's things like around the pet care, around the business, all of this kind of stuff. And then we can do that more after that.
Speaking of chase content, this is never going to happen. That is a very limited industry. There will be more wineries given out over time because I don't think we ever maxed out how many we had initially slated for. Same with apiaries. I think there's still room for a few more apiaries to be given out here and there. But for these, highly sought after, very limited industries, this is definitely not going to happen. But I can see us maybe even in the future having more industries that are similar. They've been very successful. Some of the most successful, I would say, like industries and game loops and whatnot. So I can see us doing more of those as like chase content. Okay. Is there anything else you want us to talk about? This has been a great AMA. You guys have been asking some really, really good questions.
Yeah, this is a lot. I think the next AMA is going to get. We'll see how it goes. We're excited to get this next update out. It's going to be big. This is the one that you guys have kind of been waiting for with the changes. It's going to change the way that you guys play a lot. So again, we're going to be here on the next AMA. We're going to listen to all your feedback, comments. That'll be great. And we'll see how stuff goes. So yeah, the whole team's ready. We know the pressure's on. And we have to get some of these things right. I hope you guys understand what we're trying to do here too, because again, like we are doing this with all of you in mind and your best interest in mind. Like we want the game to just play better and be more fun. Like this doesn't really change any of the other things that we're doing other than making the game more fun. And like, yeah, that's the key metric that we're looking at here. So yeah, we're on your side. We want this to work. We want you guys to feel good about these changes too. This is some of the stuff we have to do though.
Yep. Okay, cool. So, what do we have coming up next? I don't think we have a big partnership announcement, which I've been teasing for weeks. It's going to be really, really cool. I thought we were going to post about it this week. I think it's going to be next week now. But stay tuned for that. It's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. And then we have I think we have an energy party happening next week with Loot Rush. I will ping that team and just make sure we're definitely locked in. And like I said, we do have some Halloween stuff in the works. So stay tuned for that. I love holiday themed events. So yeah. And reminder,
one other thing too that people were asking about a lot that I want to comment on is people have been asking about the land on ads or ads on land a lot. That's pretty close actually. We made some good progress on that. I think we have it working in code now. So there's some cool stuff coming there too.
That's awesome. If you're in Dubai and would like to come to Binance Blockchain Week and do not have a ticket, please DM the Pixels account. We only have a couple tickets, so I can't guarantee it, but we do have a couple extras. So you have to obviously be living in Dubai or the vicinity. It'll be pretty cool. We will do our AMA from there not next week, the following week for the event. Luke has a talk. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. Last but not least, I already said this, but vote for Pixels. I have pinned it to the live chat on YouTube. But this is the link. Also, if you are watching us somewhere else. But yeah, we appreciate every vote. And I think we can call it there. Awesome.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.